Chris Sinclair back here live, Churchill Downs. I tell you, so many great, interesting stories behind all of the horses out here, and the Derby horses especially. And if you took a vote at the most interesting story on the backside of Churchill this year, this would get many votes.
That's right. I was just learning a little bit about this myself. Alan Cutler has more with the horse Bolt d'Oro, who's named after Usain Bolt, the fastest man in the world. I had no idea about that.
Either.
Yeah, Alan, tell us more, please.
Welcome to the paddock area. I love this place. This is where the action is at. Look, owners have been known to fire their trainers. Boom, get rid of them. It happens more often than you think. For example, last year, Always Dreaming won the Derby. Todd Pletcher, as you know, was a great trainer. But Todd Pletcher wasn't the first trainer. The owner takes his horse, moves it from that barn, and moves it to Todd Pletcher. So trainers get fired. Not in this case, because the owner and the trainer, Mick Ruiz, you might say they're joined at the hip.
It was an hour early.
From rags to riches, to then owing Uncle Sam $1 million, to getting back into business and making $78 million selling his company. That had his accountant tell him, it's okay, go spend some money on horses. Mick Ruiz didn't like high school. He was a wrestler, so when that sport was done, he quit. Bolt d'Oro is beautiful, since Mick lives in Montana. As the story goes,
oh, give me a home where the buffalo roam.
They broke him where the deer and the antelope play, in the tough terrain in Montana. That part of the story isn't true. But this is, and it's tough to imagine taking an expensive horse and breaking him in that tough terrain in Montana.
It's true that he was broke in Montana, and they took him through the mountains and the trails there, so he got to see a lot of animals. By the time he got to Santa Anita with us, I mean, he was bulletproof. There was nothing that would spook him. He had a really good mind.
Yeah, I would think that would make a horse much, much, much tougher.
Oh, I used to go when I'd see him, and we have a 10-acre field, and he'd be running full steam through that. And I'm thinking, I just bought that yearling for $630,000. If he steps in a gopher hole, this ain't gonna be good. But you know, you gotta let him grow up tough, kind of like how I grew up, and you know, just things come easy after that.
It's so rare to own and train a Derby horse. A couple weeks ago, Bob Baffert, who's won this 4 times, goes up to Mick and says, hey, you know, you're going to find out this is a tough business. His response, hey, Bob, why don't you try buying them and training them? To that, Mick says Baffert had no response.
They keep telling me that I better enjoy this, you know.
Back in horses for a couple of years, and part of that had Mick training with an expired training license. But when you buy 14 horses a year and you get a Derby horse, that's amazing.
Bolt d'Oro trying ever so hard, but Justify, another exhilarating exhibition.
The Derby favorite, Justify, beat Bolt d'Oro in the Santa Anita Derby.
He's going to run the best race of his life. His horse is training good. We love what we see. Boy, Justify is just a good horse. I mean, you know, we have a little bit of ground to catch up on him, but I don't think he'll be loose on an easy pace.
Look, I don't know what the craziest thing I've seen in my 4 decades of covering the Derby. I can tell you, breaking a horse in the tough terrain in Montana, if it's not number 1, it's got to be in the top 5. That is absolutely crazy. The other trainers go, what is he doing? Now, a key is the fact that he was broken in Montana. Justify hasn't been pushed around. Justify hasn't had a ton of mud in his face. This horse is super tough. And Justify beat Bolt d'Oro the last time out. The toughness of this horse is going to help tremendously. The second thing is the owner-trainer. Since 1913, folks, it's happened twice that we've had an owner-trainer win the Derby. That's incredible. And this man, Mick Ruiz, believes he's about to build one of the great stables we've seen in a long time. All right, now when it comes to the Derby odds, I want you to think about this. Bob Baffert has won this race not once, not twice, not 3 times, but 4 times. So when you ask Bob who's his greatest horse, obviously he's going to say American Pharoah. Duh, he won the Triple Crown. His next favorite horse, his next best horse, not a Derby winner. Really, it was Arrogate. Wow, let's check out the field. Let's see how the odds are doing. Let's see if they've changed. And Audible remains at 6-1, the Florida Derby winner. A lot of long shots coming at the gate. And we'll look at Justify, 7-2, still a favorite. We're out of time. Justify is the favorite. Let's go back to CNC. Back on you.
Wait, by the way, Mr. A, we got some nice stuff planned for Alan Cutler. It's going to be his last Derby. He's retiring after Derby today, and we've got a lot of special stuff planned for him throughout the day right here on our day-long coverage of Kentucky Derby 144.
That's right. Stick with us all day until 2:30. That's when NBC will pick up the coverage. Stay with us. More from Kentucky Derby 144 when we come back.